all policies are the same. PetPlan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fits all leader is an appointed representative of PetPlan Limited.
They are the prodigies of the pitch, the kings and queens of the courts, and the titans of turf and track. But who was the real deal? Every Tuesday morning from 10, join Jim White and Simon Jordan as they nominate the sporting star who's proved to be the real deal of the week. Don't miss The Real Deal with White and Jordan every Tuesday morning from 10 on Talk Sport with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
Champions League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
The UK's #1 football experience.
Kick off live on Talk Sport. You're listening to the Champions League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Napoli-Chelsea's on Talk Sport 2 tonight, kick-off at 8. Same kick-off time for Newcastle away to Paris Saint-Germain, a shootout for a top 8 place. That's live on Talk Sport. Show coming to you from the Etihad tonight, where Galatasaray, Manchester City go head to head, and the Galatasaray players out there warming up. A lot of Galatasaray fans in Manchester, enjoying the sunshine in Manchester on this January day. It's time now to get an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com, 18plus gambleaware.org.
Alex Apati from Ladbrokes is with us. We've got Newcastle away to PSG on Talk Sport tonight. What are the chances of Newcastle recording an historic, memorable victory?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it, Adrian? They are outsiders. PSG 3-5 odds on, Newcastle 18-5, and the draw is 7-2. So it is in Newcastle's hands, just as it is in PSG's hands. On 13 points, there are 9 teams below these two who could still finish above them. So for Newcastle, if they want to finish in the top 8, it's probably a must-win, and they're just over 3-1 to get it. So it should be a good one anyway. You're in for it. Odds on for 4 or more goals here. 3 points obviously would put Newcastle above last year's winners, who they could slip out of the top 8 themselves. And I mean, PSG are just used to playing English teams every couple of weeks now. In the last 2 seasons, they've played Arsenal 3 times: Man City, Villa, Liverpool and Spurs. This is the 6th English side they're coming up against in the last 2 years, and of course they met Newcastle a couple of years ago, lost 4-1 at St James's Park and drew 1 all at home. So an optimistic PSG fan might say they're due a win against the Geordies. I think they get it here as well. PSG to win and both teams to score, for me, is just shy of 2-1. Could see Newcastle in a spot of bother by the end of the night.
On TalkSport 2 tonight, Chelsea away to Napoli. Now, a win should be enough, but it could come down to goal difference. It's very tight with Chelsea's goal difference at the moment. So we've got to see how the evening progresses, but what do the odds suggest?
Yeah, Chelsea have to tread carefully, I think, here, because Napoli themselves are way down in 25th. They still have a lot to play for themselves, and I mean, I can't believe this is the first time these two have played each other since that night in 2012, that 4-1 Chelsea win. It feels like they've played a lot before. But anyway, Chelsea are 11-10 favourites here. Napoli, despite being the hosts, are 12-5, as is the draw. It is just 1 draw for Chelsea in the Champions League this season. It probably won't be good enough. Similar to Newcastle, they need to win probably convincingly to guarantee a top 8 finish. In terms of convincing wins and scorelines, a repeat of that 4-1 is 25-1 for Chelsea. Coming up against Napoli, who've won 1 of their last 6 in all comps. Chelsea have won 4 of 5 since Rosinha took over. Probably his biggest test here so far. I do think he comes out of it with 3 points. I think Chelsea win, both teams to score. And I'm going to go with 5 or more cards in what could be quite a stressful game for both sides here. That's a 13-2 bet builder.
And Arsenal already through. They're looking to make it 100% in this league stage, and they really should do against Contatc Almaty, shouldn't they? I
would say get Arteta out after the last 3 games if they don't pick up another 3 points and make it 100% tonight. They're 1-20, Contatc Almaty 40-1. The draw, forget it, 16-1. The odds suggest therefore that Arsenal are going to top the group in style. No side has scored more than them, all conceded fewer, and no side has conceded more than Contatc. You'll get 2-1 or just over 2-1 on both teams to score here, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. Arsenal to win both halves is still odds on 4-9. To win by 4 or more is evens, so you're struggling for value here. The most likely scoreline is apparently 3-0 Arsenal at 6-1, but looking at that team sheet, even though they've dropped a few, I think they'll get more goals than 3. On that front line, Victor Gyökeres 7-2 to score 2 or more tonight. Eze is evens for a goal at any time. So I would go with 4 or more goals in this game. Arsenal to win both halves, to be winning after 15 minutes, and an Eze goal at any time. That's a 4-1 bet builder with Ladbrokes.
Well, nobody's conceded more than Kairat, so if Gyökeres can't score tonight, well, I'll give up. That was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes 18+, gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com, 18+, gambleaware.org.
Well, let's talk to our guys. Stuart Pearce is on commentary for Newcastle's trip to Paris this evening. We've got 18 games tonight. It's a climatic end to this league stage of the Champions League, Stuart. All the teams are playing. I think it's personally brilliant. Only 4 teams are out. 2 have already qualified, so that leaves 30 with something to play for tonight. It's the second season of the format. Are you a fan of it?
Absolutely. I was last season. We're still in January now, and there's such a level of excitement about tonight's fixtures, Aid. It's absolutely superb, you know. So it's all to play for. It's just brilliantly poised. I think it's been a brilliant idea. I really do. Really enjoyed the format.
Scott Minto, what do you think?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Aid, when you said only 2 teams have fully qualified and only 4 teams have been knocked out. So the rest have got something to play for. At this stage, with how it used to be, it wasn't quite like that, was it? I mean, and I don't know, there's just a different feel to it. Everyone's playing someone different. It's not just the same team home and away. So there's a variety for the casual viewer, but also for the fan of that club, and if they want to travel to different places. So, look, I absolutely think that while there are enough games to get yourself out of it if you start bad, there's also the fallback of the players if you've got. I think it's just win-win-win in every way, isn't it, so far?
Well, we're at the Etihad, me and Mickey Gray, and Man City went out in the playoffs last season, if you remember. If they only make the playoffs and go out again, they won't be a fan of the new format, will they?
No, absolutely not, Adrian, and they wouldn't have learnt the lesson. They will look back on that Bodo Glimt performance, the Leverkusen performance, and think, you know, those were games that we should have really won. And it's about learning your lessons. And Pep Guardiola thought he'd be smart and clever and change his team and think they could just breeze their way to winning those football matches. Well, this is Champions League football. It doesn't happen that way. And I agree with the 2 lads there as well. Look, it takes away the dead rubber games at the end of a Champions League. And I think that's so important, because normally Manchester City, when they were flying in the Champions League, would probably come here tonight thinking, OK, well, we'll qualify for the next stages. We'll change the whole 11 around. And it just would have been a pretty boring game, to be honest. They've got something to play for, as we know. And I suppose Galatasaray have as well. I think they're going to be in that 8 below the top 8, if you understand where I'm coming from. So it is, yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this forward line of Galatasaray tonight playing against this back line of Man City. Anything could happen.
And if it is, if you do finish that 8 below the top 8, you get home advantage second leg of that playoff, and so there's always something to play for if you're involved in the mix. Now, I want you all to listen to this. This is Anthony Gordon speaking yesterday, Newcastle winger, ahead of the game against PSG. He's been comparing the difference between the Premier League and the Champions League.
It's like a basketball game sometimes. It's so relentless physically. There's not much control. It's a running game, and sometimes it's about duels. Who wins the duels wins the game. The Champions League is a bit more of an older style of game. It's a bit more football based, like teams come and try and play proper football. I think in the Premier League now you're seeing a lot more long throw-ins, set pieces. It's become a lot slower and a lot more set piece based, I would say.
Very interesting. Stuart Pearce, what do you make of his kind of almost, I wouldn't say he's criticising the Premier League, but when you're a footballer and you say the Champions League is more of a football match and the Premier League, it's about set pieces and throw-ins, it doesn't fill me with comfort, that.
Well, I don't read it as critical as probably it's suggesting it is. It is best on best, or it certainly should be. You know, these are the best sides of all the leagues around Europe, so it should be best on best all the time. I've got to agree with him. Games swinging from end to end, akin to a basketball match. I've seen that. I've seen so many good games and exciting games in the Champions League. Premier League, you know, on occasion it can be a little bit, will defend deep and let you counter-attack, and it comes out, gets recycled. I understand his point in that respect, but I think the Champions League and the format I can't remember the last time I saw a poor game in the Champions League, I've got to say, and the players will be up for it as well. I had players when I was managing want to come in and telling me, I want to play for a Champions League team. It's the pinnacle. Only thing beyond that is probably playing for your country in a major tournament.
Scott Minto, has Anthony Gordon got a point there?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's how he feels, so I'm not going to argue with how he feels. I mean, what I would say is that sort of end-to-end transitional physical running game, isn't that why the Premier League is the most popular league in the world? And why everyone kind of wants to watch it, because it is always sort of all action and that way. And look, Piercy's absolutely right. The Champions League, everybody would love to be a Champions League player, but the only thing I would say is at this stage, there are plenty of teams within this group where, I think, for example, Spurs, as an example, are doing really well in the Champions League, but not so much in the Premier League, because I think that the teams they're playing, especially at home, are not as strong as the teams that they play in the Premier League. But once you get to the latter stages, it is the best of the best, and that's where we're getting towards. Liverpool are struggling a little bit in the Premier League, and yet look where they are and can finish in the top 3 or 4 of this particular table. So look, it's how he feels. I love the Premier League for what it is. It's changed a little bit in the last year or two. I don't have a problem with that. I just want it to be as exciting as possible. One thing we do know is the Champions League, once it gets towards the knockout stages, you will have the big boys pitting their wits against each other, and it will be exciting as well.
Which is where Anthony Gordon hasn't been. So he hasn't witnessed those type of games, the quarter-finals, the semi-finals, finals, etc. I get it at points. Premier League can sometimes let you down, but the Champions League never does.
Very interesting. I was speaking to a Spurs fan about the difference earlier today, and he said that what's really interesting is Spurs players are getting much more time on the ball individually in Europe, and that's why Spurs have actually been looking good in the Champions League. Why they're 5th as it stands in the current table and have a good chance of finishing in the top 8, but it's not looking so healthy in the Premier League. Interesting points from Anthony Gordon. This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Next, we're going to take a closer look at the 6 English teams in action tonight. We'll keep you across the lot with PSG against Newcastle, our commentary here on TalkSport, but that could change as the night progresses, as we go wherever the key story is.
Kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
New year, new you, new wheels. Charge up your new year with Trust Ford and make your switch for 26. Whether you're upgrading for work or play, our friendly team will guide you through the range of hybrid and electric vehicles and offers, including great upgrade savings and 0% APR on new cars and vans to keep you moving. So, make your switch for 26 at your local Trust Ford dealership or trustford.co.uk.
Visit Trust Ford now.
TNT Sports presents
This is where it really counts.
Matchday Mayhem in the UEFA Champions League and Europa League. With all 36 games live over 2 unmissable nights.
Sensational finale to the group stage.
Including Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle and Spurs in action. The stage is set for the league phase finale. Exclusively live on TNT Sports.
At AJ Bell, we believe every customer deserves brilliant service, which is just one reason we're rated excellent on Trustpilot. And we all trust pilots with their smooth, captainy voices that make you feel like you'd let them land anywhere they like. Sorry, where was I? Right, AJ Bell, rated excellent by sexy pilots. I mean Trustpilot. I'm a flight risk. AJ Bell, feel good investing. The value of your investments can go up or down.
This is not just food. This is 100% British, 5% fat beef mince. Now for just £5.20. Hang on, 100% British for £5.20? Down from £6.75? That can't be right. Oh, it says here that this is the Remarkable Value range. Over 100 family favourites that are the same M&S quality but at everyday low prices. Well, looks like this is not just food. This is M&S Remarkable Value food. Subject to availability.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, TalkSport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or
live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you're looking for a professional grade sealant that offers technologically advanced performance, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
With your latest sports headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Good evening. All eyes on the future. God is great. The words of Raheem Sterling after leaving Chelsea by mutual agreement. TalkSport understands he's open to a move abroad. Some transfer news in brief now. Villa have re-signed Douglas Luiz from Juve. That's a loan deal till the end of the season. Fulham have agreed a £27 million fee for Man City's Oscar Bob and sold Adama Traore to West Ham. Meanwhile, the Hammers themselves have agreed to sell Lucas Paquetá to Flamengo and let James Ward-Prowse join Burnley on loan. And Tyson Fury is coming out of retirement this spring. He'll face Russia's Arslanbek Makhmudov in a UK venue that's yet to be decided.
King of football commentary. Kick-off live on Talk Sport.
You're listening to the Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Looking elsewhere, Real Madrid away to Mourinho's Benfica tonight. The Stadium of Light is where Madrid won the Decima, a special place for them. Bellingham and Champions League top scorer Mbappe start for Madrid tonight. Arbeloa's side thirds. But defeat could present a problem for them tonight. We'll see. Even a win might not be good enough for Benfica, who've struggled. Let's focus, though, on the English sides in action this evening. It's time to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18+ gambleaware.org.
It's a shootout in the French capital as PSG take on Newcastle. With a reminder of the teams, it's your match commentator Jim Proudfoot.
5 changes for Newcastle and a likely change of shape as well. Joelinton's injured, Trippier and the weekend's front three are all on the bench, including Bonds and Gordon, who've scored 11 Champions League goals between them this season. PSG have Hakimi and João Neves back from injury, and Dembele is amongst those recalled. So Newcastle line up with Pope in goal, a back three of Chow, Botman and Byrne, Miley, Tonali, Ramsey and Hall, and Willock and Elanga wide of Voltemada. Kick-off a little over 20 minutes away.
And over on TalkSport 2, we'll have commentary of Chelsea's trip to Napoli, with both teams needing a win for different reasons. Chelsea in the top 8, only on goal difference. Commentating on TalkSport 2, Ian Danter.
And Liam Rosina makes 2 changes to the Chelsea side that won comfortably at Palace at the weekend. Gusto and Fofana in, Chalobah and Badiashile make way. Sanchez then the goalkeeper. The back four looks to be from right to left. Gusto, James, Fofana and Cucurella. Santos and Caicedo holding, and then Estevao, Enzo Fernandez and Neto behind João Pedro. For Napoli, beaten 3-0 at the weekend by Juventus. 1 change for Antonio Conte, the former Chelsea manager. Oliveira in for Gutierrez, so Mera in goal. Di Lorenzo, Jesus and Buongiorno at the back. Spinazzola, Lobotka, Scott McTominay and Oliveira in midfield. Vergara and Elmas behind Rasmus Højlund. Once of Manchester United up top. It's Napoli against Chelsea on TalkSport 2.
Here at the Etihad Stadium, Man City must win against Galatasaray to have a chance of qualifying automatically. City, one of 8 teams currently on 13 points, but they're 11th in the table because of their inferior goal difference. Alongside me, it's John Dunn.
4 changes for Manchester City following the win here against Wolves at the weekend. Semenyo and Gueye not eligible. Rodri is suspended, whereas Reinders moved to the bench. Haaland recalled, also coming in is Aït-Nouri, Doku and Ake. With Donnarumma in goal, Mateus Nunes, Kusanov, Ake and Aït-Nouri the defence. O'Reilly in midfield with Cherki, Silva, Mamouche and Doku supporting Haaland up front. Galatasaray making 3 changes from the side that drew up Atletico 7 days ago. 2 ex-City players start for them tonight. Ilkay Gundogan and Leroy Sané. Victor Osimhen leads the line, 8 goals in his last 11 games. It's Manchester City and Galatasaray.
Cheers, John. Spurs travel to already eliminated Frankfurt, needing a victory to guarantee their progression to the round of 16. Our chief football correspondent Alex Crook has a reminder of the teams.
Thomas Frank is missing as many as 14 players as he makes 5 changes from the weekend draw against Burnley. Udogie, Paulinho, Gray, Sarr and Kolo Muani are the players who come in. Solanke drops to the bench, but Van der Ven, Porro, Basuma and Gallagher are amongst the absentees. So Tottenham go with Vicario in goal, Spence, Danso, Romero and Udogie in front of him, Paulinho and Gray in midfield, Odebert, Sarr and Simons behind Kolo Muani in attack. It's Frankfurt against Tottenham.
Liverpool host Karabag, needing a win to guarantee their automatic qualification, but their +6 goal difference means a draw may not be enough as well. At Anfield, it's Matt Jones.
No Joe Gomez due to injury for Liverpool, while Milos Kerkez drops to the bench. They'll be replaced by Hugo Ekitike and Andy Robertson. That means Ryan Gravenberch will drop back into the centre of defence from the heart of midfield. It also looks like Arne Slot has reverted to his 4-3-3 formation as opposed to that diamond midfield that has brought some success of late. As for Qarabağ, after resting their entire starting lineup in a shock league defeat at the weekend, they revert to a more familiar first 11 tonight. That means Camilo Duran is back up top. He scored a brace against Frankfurt in a Champions League win last week. It's Liverpool against Qarabağ.
And it's top versus bottom as Arsenal protect their 100% record against Kairat at the Emirates. Here's Ian Abrahams.
11 changes for the Gunners. Kepa in goal, White, Mascara, Calafiori and Lewis Skelly across the back, Havertz, Norgard and Eze 3 in midfield, with Gyökeres either side of him will be Madueke and Martinelli. Arsenal going for 100% record here at the Emirates, and we start at 8.
That was all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org.
The big preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com, 18+, gambleaware.org.
So less than 20 to kick off live on Talk Sport. We're going to have PSG against Newcastle live on Talk Sport 2. It is Napoli against Chelsea. And we'll go wherever the story is. So as the night develops, things will change, goals will change, everything tonight. I just want to ask Mickey Gray here at the Etihad a quick one on that Man City team. When you saw it was O'Reilly at centre mid, defensive mid, did you say, oh really? I mean, and actually, joking aside, let's pay tribute to this kid because he's played full-back. He's now playing centre midfield. He's got his way into the England squad as well. He's actually a number 10, isn't he?
Well, every level he gets to, Adrian, I think he improves and he gets better. I think when I did see him play as a holding midfield player against Newcastle in the Cup, he played very well, so he's certainly capable of it. It's behind him. There's the worry for me, is the two centre-halves. I know Kushinov is as quick as anybody in the Premier League, but Nathan Ake alongside him, we've seen he's had his issues and his problems this season. Ait Nouri played on the right-hand side in the last game that they lost to Bodo Glimt, and Mateus Nunes, you know what you're going to get from them. But with this line in front of them of Yilmaz Osimhen and Sane, that's what worries me. But will Galatasaray be able to get the ball to them? If they do, then they're going to ask questions of this back line. There's no question of it.
And it's a question I'll throw at Stuart Pearce in a second as well. A quick one from you, Mickey, on Erling Haaland. I mean, is there a problem there? Is there a problem between him and Pep Guardiola, because Pep was talking in his press conference about not talking to him and all that. I don't even know if Pep was being sarcastic there. It was a weird thing for him to say.
Yeah, he's not spoke to his players for 3 years. It was very bizarre, wasn't it? Look,
was he joking there? I don't know.
I think it was just the way he portrayed it. He was saying, certain things when he said, I'm not spoke to me. I think he was thinking inside his head rather than the player's head. So he kept it away from the players with basically what he was saying. I don't think there's an issue with Erling Haaland at all. I think you've got to start pointing the fingers at the players around him. Jeremy Doku, Ryan Cherki, who's got a lot of assists this season, but he needs to keep doing it on a regular basis, because we've seen wide players play for Man City, and Kevin De Bruyne, we've got to bring that into the conversation as well, setting up Erling Haaland. Look, he's going through a bit of a moment. If any other centre-forward was going through, it probably wouldn't even bat an eye at it. But Erling Haaland will start scoring goals again.
It's interesting with Pep. When he said that, I haven't spoken to my players for 3 years, Stuart Pearce, I think a lot of eyebrows went up, and then I thought, is he being sarcastic? I think he might be playing around with the guy who asked the question, who was actually a friend of TalkSport, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian. However, it is known that in the past he didn't get on particularly great with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Yaya Toure. Maybe with star players there might be an issue. It's interesting though. But on Erling Haaland, Stuart, very quickly on this, do you think there's a problem?
No, I see a young man that's full of confidence and a bit of arrogance. Like all top performers have got that about them, and I saw that in the very early days when he come off the pitch on occasion and Pep's talking to him. The look on his face was, you don't have to tell me, I know how to play the game. Which, to be fair, sometimes you've got to have that a little bit of that about you, you know what I mean, to be a high top quality performer, so. And also as well, I know his dad, and his dad is very level, Alfie, so he would have guided him brilliantly, I'm sure. So I don't think you'll have a problem with him, you know what I mean? He just wants to play all the time, he wants to break all records, and he wants to achieve and win things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Stuart, we'll talk more about Newcastle in the build-up to kick-off, just before kick-off, but a quick one
some have suggested, because it's away to PSG, it's away to the European champions, nobody really expects Newcastle to win tonight, so they see it as a free hit for Newcastle. I'm a bit surprised by that, and I think that the players can't possibly have that mentality going into the game, surely.
No, they'll want to go and win the game, that is for sure, but it doesn't get away from the fact that Newcastle on the road this season have not been as glamorous as they have been at St James's, without a doubt, and that's why there's that question mark, and probably because there's that question mark, people are suggesting there's a free hit scenario.
Let's bring in Chelsea here. Cole Palmer is on the bench for Chelsea tonight. Liam Rosenior has him down as a sub. Raheem Sterling has left Chelsea this evening. We know that. More on the website talksport.com. But Rosenior was asked about the prospect of Cole Palmer also departing the club.
There's no reason for an assurance. It's so unrealistic. It's come from nowhere. There's nothing in it. There's no reason to have the conversation. That's where I'm at. Cole is very happy. I've had numerous conversations with him. Our thoughts on how we can make this team better, how he can improve, and how I can help him, because he loves being here and he wants to be a Chelsea player. You can't stop speculation, but some speculation is so far from the truth, there's no point having a discussion about it.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, Mickey Gray. You're our Manchester correspondent. He's from Manchester. He's a Man United fan. He's going to Man United, isn't he?
Well, look, there's never no smoke without fire, is there? And I think Cole Palmer, being a Manchester United supporter, you look at Chelsea's squad. I mean, he's had his issues this season, hasn't he, Cole Palmer? Whether it be injuries or lack of goals for a period of time. I think if the opportunity arose for him, barring that long contract that he's on, I'm sure that he would want to have that conversation. But when it comes to a figure of what you buy Cole Palmer for, I think the minimum you're probably talking is 120, Adrian. So do Man United have that amount of money to go and spend on an individual player that, yes, they could need, but he's not a priority at United?
No, although Bruno Fernandes may not be there next season, we'll see what happens. Arne Slot's press conference yesterday was really impactful, really interesting. I'll just read some of the headline stories. He said it's impossible to shut down the noise at a club like Liverpool. He said if they improve in both boxes, they can do very special things this season. If not, it's going to be a lot of noise. And he also said if people knew the struggles I'm facing, they'd be more understanding of the decisions I make. So he also claimed his side may have won the league last season because of their early Champions League exit.
Again, this is not going to be a popular opinion, what I'm going to tell you now. But maybe the reason why we won the league last season is that we had to play Paris and Germain in the last 16. Because, as you know, they beat us. And we had every time a week to prepare for our next game. Maybe that has helped us as well. Maybe if we had to double that program, which Arsenal had, and they dropped a few points in that period of time, that has helped us in winning the league.
I'm intrigued, Stuart Pearce. Why would he come out with that? That's the reason why they won the Premier League, because they went out of the Champions League early? Is he saying his players couldn't handle both competitions, Stu?
Well, that's how it come across, to be quite honest with you. I think what he's done is try to draw, and I try to self-coach you on this, get a positive out of a negative, so he's come to that crossroads. There's a bad result up one crossroads and a good result up the other, and he's seen it a win-win situation, and he's seen it, well, hang on, we have been beaten. Looking back now, did that play a part in winning the Premier League with injuries, suspensions, and you know what? Maybe it did.
A couple of things for me, Aid, from that is, did he not realise going to a big club like Liverpool, like you play a lot of football matches? That's the big surprise to me. I was shocked when I was hearing him about saying playing too many games. The other thing is, I think last season, and you still got to credit him for it, he didn't have to change much when he first walked through that door, and they played the way that Jurgen Klopp wanted to play for Liverpool. This season, albeit he spent a lot of money, but I think he's changed a little bit too much, and he keeps talking about this high line and the long ball over the top. He's kind of setting it up for everybody to say, well, if they don't like it, well, we're going to do it. And that's what well, basically it's been their downfall in the games that they've lost this season.
Yeah, can I make a point here, please?
Yeah, of course.
At this stage of the season, Arsenal, if you look at the Champions League table and look at the Premier League table, have absolutely smashed it. Do we think that Arsenal are going to go on and win both?
I don't think anybody's fully confident of that.
Right, so at the end of that, at the end of the season, will Arteta turn round and say it was the implications of fighting on two fronts, which was nigh on impossible to do, was the reason why we didn't. The same as Slots just turned round and said.
It's an interesting point. One thing I will recommend is Stuart Pearce life coaching. It's it can turn you around.
You're more than welcome to get on my sofa anytime, big guy. You know that.
It's a wonderful place to be. Don't forget that the latest episode of the How to Win the World Cup podcast will be available to download tomorrow morning from your usual podcast provider, or watch it on YouTube as hosts Matt Ford and Jacob Hawley speak to the former American keeper Brad Friedel about all things goalkeeping, while we'll also be bringing you the TalkSport Daily podcast tomorrow morning with all of the reaction to tonight's Champions League games. And don't miss Fiery Fridays on the TalkSport Daily as well. This is Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. 18 Champions League matches kicking off in just under 10 minutes. We'll be going wherever the story is tonight. But we start at the Parc des Princes. Newcastle look to get revenge in Paris for 2 years ago and qualify automatically for the round of 16.
Kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Evening. How's your night shift going? Just a quick check-in from Acorn Insurance, the taxi specialists. We've been by your side for over 40 years, helping new drivers earn a no-claims bonus from day one and accepting up to 9 years no claims from veteran cabbies. That's why we're the largest taxi insurance specialist in the UK. Find out more at acorninsure.co.uk/taxi. Bye for now. Acorn Insurance and Financial Services Limited is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Mr. Thing is quite happy with himself. He's just got 20% off home care with British Gas, which covers the plumbing and heating, including unlimited call-outs and repairs. So what we're hearing is the satisfaction of knowing the boiler is sorted through song, if you can call it that. So search British Gas Home Care to get 20% off today and keep your shower showering hot. Terms and conditions apply. Ends 3rd of Feb. New to home care customers only.
The great Trustford winter sale is back, with big savings across the range of used cars and vans, like Ford Pumas, Cougars and Rangers, as well as custom and transit van models, with over 3,000 vehicles in stock, ready to drive away today with Trustford now. Don't miss great savings in the Trustford winter sale at your local Trustford dealership or trustford.co.uk.
Visit Trustford now. It's a new season. The fans are back, and so is Coral's free reward shaker with bigger football rewards. The half and half scarfers shaking decisively for once. They backed a super boost. Next to them, the prawn sandwich brigade. Oh, they've shaken up a free bet after that free lunch. Play Coral's free reward shaker to win bigger guaranteed daily rewards and offers this season. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus, UK, max one reward or offer per player per day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
New year means a new round of speculation, signings and spending sprees. As the 2026 trading season kicks off, stay ahead with all the deals with essential transfer window updates on TalkSport.
And they have been made to pay.
Plus, get the inside track on everything from the club moves worth knowing to where the mega money's going. In one unbeatable transfer news roundup with White and Jordan every morning from 10.
Can't get closer than
transfer window updates on TalkSport with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
More fun than paying your gas bill. Kick off live on TalkSport.
He comes to Almiron, whose shot is still, and it's stabbed home on the rebound by Alexander Isak. It's a terrific, magic moment in Paris. Newcastle United lead by a goal to nil in the 98th minute, but a penalty to PSG might level it up. It's Mbappe slamming it home past the despairing dive of Nick Pope. It's dispiriting as the full-time whistle goes, because this was a magnificent performance by Newcastle United, who are absolutely furious.
He's got that warrior attitude that he will fight for you, he will fight for the team, he will fight for what he believes in, and of course then you put that aside and then you go to the football player who's just a magnificent technician, who, I say, Bruno's biggest quality for me is he wants the ball in every moment. He will go hunting the ball because he's brave enough to take responsibilities.
This is going to be very interesting tonight. Paris Saint-Germain, maybe European champions. They've only just gone top in France, lost in the Champions League to Sporting last week as well. Stuart Pearce on this selection from Eddie Howe. He has just actually said he wants his team to be really good tactically. He says he thinks they have to be against a team which is fluid and progressive. but he's also said as well the reason behind the changes is so we have fresh players to execute the way we want to play, which suggests that it is going to be that 3-4-3 that you and Jim have been talking about since the teams were announced. So how do players like Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes, who've been so brilliant in the Champions League for Newcastle this season, how are they feeling being left on the bench for such a huge game?
Well, I think there's so many games, mate, in a season that I think there's an acceptance really from players in squads that, look, you know, what does that say about Willock and Elanga? Does it turn around and say they're not good enough to play? I think there's an acceptance, there's a rotation in there, but I think Eddie's words are suggesting it's going to be a 3, and they've looked at PSG and thought this formation could hurt them. So he's obviously worked at something leading into this game, and listen, he'll think he's got a plan to win the game and go into the top 8.
Well, we'll see if that plan works. Don't forget tonight, Chelsea are on TalkSport 2. Updates from here at City and from Anfield and from Arsenal and from Spurs in Frankfurt. But in Paris, Newcastle have to win, and it doesn't matter how they do it. PSG against Newcastle, live on TalkSport with former England captain Stuart Pearce, alongside your commentator, Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and a very good evening to you. Well, the last time Newcastle were on Parisian walkways, they conceded the most controversial 98th minute penalty that all but scuppered their Champions League hopes. No such jeopardy tonight, but what happens at the Parc des Princes will do so much to shape their campaign going forward. They've already earned their first European knockout campaign in 13 years, but can they secure the top 8 finish that will propel them through to the round of 16 without the need for a playoff tie next month? There's also the added advantage that their subsequent path through the competition will be easier, at least in theory. Well, with 14 clubs jockeying for 6 remaining top 8 places, the list of permutations is as long as your arm, but it's easy for both Newcastle and PSG. Win and they make it, fail and they don't. The numerical drama of the night is reserved for elsewhere. But nevertheless, Stu, I'm glad that when our own in-house draw was made, I won the chance to talk about the football, and you, now that you're officially mastermind, have ended up on maths duty tonight.
Leave it with me, my friend. Maths is not a bad subject for me. Celebrity, I struggle with.
Newcastle lining up tonight with Nick Pope in goal. They're set to play with a back 3 for the first time since the defeat of Marseille in November. Botman flanked by Chow and Byrne, who are both a yellow card away from suspension. Miley and Hall at wing back. Tonali alongside Ramsey in midfield. And Willock and Elanga wide of Nick Voldemada up front. For PSG, Safanov is back in goal. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho and Nuno Mendes. Zaire Emery played right back at the weekend, back in midfield tonight, alongside Vitinha once of Wolves and João Neves. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele and Barcola are the front 3. On the benches for Newcastle, keepers Ramsdale and Harris, Trippier, Wissa, Gordon and Barnes, Asula, Jacob Murphy, Alex Murphy, Bruno Guimaraes and the youngster Leo Shahar. And for PSG, Chevalier and James, Lucas Barano, Zabani, Gonzalo Ramos and Doué, Hernandez, Mayulu and Mbar. Newcastle United in their famous black and white striped shirts, white shorts, and PSG in the familiar, very dark blue with a red central stripe down the front. Marquinhos
this Wednesday evening. Plenty of the games going on in the Champions League. Of course, everybody is in action. We'll keep up to date with the scores that are going on and the implications it has for the two sides here at the Parc des Princes Stadium between both Newcastle United and PSG. 6th and 7th place respectively. They're level on points with the likes of Chelsea, Barcelona, Sporting, Manchester City, Atletico Madrid and Atalanta, all on 13 points. And you've got the likes of Inter Milan, Juve down in 15th and 14th respectively on 12 points. So Newcastle in the traditional black and white stripes. It is the dark blue, the navy blue if you will, for PSG as the coin toss has just concluded. The two sides in the respective halves now just prepared for a little bit of a huddle and a team talk where the captains will give the last words of advice. Plenty of changes to both of these sides. Newcastle, of course, with one eye on a trip to Anfield on Saturday afternoon. Liverpool slightly higher than them in the Premier League at the moment, but both sides with plenty to play for. Eddie Howe did say before the game got underway that he's been forced to make some of these changes solely down to the fixture congestion that Newcastle are suffering from. Not only are they heading into the knockout stages of the Champions League this year, that's guaranteed, they're also in every domestic competition still, both the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and they are challenging at the moment for a top 6 place in the Premier League. Well, as Safanov gets back into his area, we're prepared for things to get underway. On the whistle of Slavko Vincic is one of the changes that has been made by Luis Enrique heading into this game, and it is Dembele that will get things underway for us, kicking off from left to right in the navy blue on the whistle of the referee, and Safanov gets an early touch just outside of his area and take this up towards the edge of the centre circle before having to release the ball. Sends it out to his left hand side in the direction of Barcola, headed away by Miley, back into PSG's half but controlled by Mendes. He'll venture back into Newcastle's half on that left hand side before he has to distribute the ball back to Neves, and into his own half it goes now to Pacho, and all the way back to Safanov just inside of the area. Gets this out to his right hand side. Kvaratskhelia goes up for the head. He's challenged with Dan Burn. He manages to bring the ball down under control, but he's forced back into his own half, and across it goes now to Pacho, and to the left hand side again for Mendes. Plays this through the middle. It should be won by Miley, but he's not, and away goes Barcola into the area. Can't get his shot away. Call for a handball. Referee turns it away as Newcastle divert the danger out for a throw-in, but within the first minute we will have a momentarily pause where Vincic receives any sort of assistance he can from Christian Dinger on whether this is a handball, and it does look, as it's ricocheted back off Barcola, it may have caught the trailing hand from Lewis Miley. So we have got an early VAR check and a potential penalty here for PSG. Just keep in mind that whilst both these sides have qualified for a knockout place in this year's competition, the top 8 will automatically get a bye through the next round. Anybody placed between 19th and 24th, which you'd assume the loser of this fixture will be doing, will go through a playoff to determine how far in this competition they can go. So it's important that whilst they both have made plenty of changes heading into this game, that they are still targeting all 3 points. And if Barcola plays that inside, it's a poor pass inside. It's ricocheted back off Sven Botman, and then it's caught off the trailing hand of Lewis Miley inside of the area. And I think this decision might just be a penalty. So the decision from Christian Dinger is that Slavko Vincic should go over towards the touchline and have a look at the screen and have a second look at the incident. And that is exactly what he's done. He's not been surrounded by players, he's not been surrounded by management. This was just under a minute into the game, and I think this is going to be given as a penalty to PSG, and they have a good chance to get an early goal on the board. I mean, the Army's not in a natural position at all by Lewis Miley. And he seems to have diverted that, if anything, into the path of Barcola. Well, the referee's decided it is going to be a penalty for PSG. Usually when the referee's told to go over and have a look at the screen, there's only ever one outcome, and that is to overturn the initial decision. On this occasion, Slavko Vincic said no penalty, and with the assistance of VAR, which is exactly what it's there for, he's now been told to overturn his initial decision. We are going to have, in the opening 3 minutes of the game, here at the Parc des Princes Stadium, a PSG penalty. And Lewis Miley was brought into that right wing-back position as a replacement for Kieran Trippier for today's game to allow Newcastle to opt for a back three. And his first involvement in the game has been beaten down that left-hand side by Barcola. It was a very optimistic pass from Nuno Mendes in the first place, and Barcola managed to get the run on Miley, and it caused all sorts of trouble. So now we've got Dembele up against Nick Pope. 3 minutes into the game, a chance for PSG to take the lead. The referee's just instructing everybody to remain outside of the area. And Ousmane Dembele, who's had 2 goals in his last 3 games, he's got 2 assists in there as well, has a chance to make it 3 goals in 4 games from the spot on the whistle of the referee. Sends it down to his bottom corner. It's turned behind by Nick Pope. It's going to be a corner for PSG, but that's a fantastic save. The ball was going into the bottom corner, into his bottom right, and the outstretched left arm of Nick Pope just diverts the ball behind. The first player to congratulate and thank him, if anything, was Lewis Smiley. Corner on the right-hand side. Barrett Skeeler plays it short to Dembele. Cross comes in, headed away by Botman. And the flag goes up for offside. And Newcastle will just take a sigh of relief before getting this free kick taken. It's a well-placed penalty by Dembele into the bottom corner. And Nick Pope did really well to get down there. It's a strong left hand to turn the ball behind. We remain goalless at the Parc des Princes Stadium. And the most informed player in this PSG side has missed from 12 yards out. It's a free kick to Newcastle United inside of their area. Only just inside of the area. And Nick Pope will be the one to come across and take. He sends this out to the left-hand side. He issued Newcastle players all to get into the opposing half. Flicked on by Voltemade. Chased down from Elanga, who's made the run from the right-hand side across and was judged to have pulled on the shirt there of Hakimi. Free kick given to PSG just outside of their area. Hakimi tried to get the ball away. It's a bit of a nudge from Elanga. It's very, very, very weak, but the decision's been given. And I think the referee has set his intention from an early stage in this game. To his right-hand side, Hakimi is a short option, but it's even issued him to go away as Safanov. With everybody else in and around the halfway line. Up it goes deep into Newcastle's half. Headed away by Dan Burn. Flicked on in the middle by Tonali. Into the centre circle. Voltemade can't bring that down under control. And away comes Vitinha on the left-hand side. Plays it back to Mendes inside of his own half. Now to Zaire-Emery. Back to Mendes. Turns onto the ball and finds some space to get away from Elanga. On the left-hand side. Drives forward into Newcastle's half. His pass inside is intercepted by Tonali. But his first touch is too heavy and Zaire-Emery wins it back. Takes it towards the touchline on the left-hand side. Pass inside now for Barcola. Can't get the pass back off inside for Vitinha. The way it goes by Newcastle out to the left-hand side. And Mendes wins it back for PSG. Just calms things down again. Goes into his own half now to Pacho. And back to Mendes. And PSG with a lot of urgency at the moment in the early stages against Newcastle. You can tell who's the home side at the moment with the confidence in which PSG have approached this first 10 minutes of the game. Marquinhos now back inside for Pacho, out to the left-hand side for Mendes. Now to Vitinha, into the opposition half to Zaire-Emery. Looks for the option of Barcola, but Lewis Smiley this time closing down that angle. And he's forced to go inside to Neves. Neves out to his right-hand side for Marquinhos, inside of his own half. Finds support by Barrett Skeeler. By the touchline, goes back into his own half again, Marquinhos. Now Newcastle starting to show a bit more of an organised approach in which they're pressing. Now closed down by Ramsey. Marquinhos gets the pass underway and out to Hakimi. Inside to Zaire-Emery. Back to Hakimi. Still inside of PSG's half. To Neves. Back to Marquinhos. Clearing this upfield. Brought down by Ramsey. Loses out top possession. It's Barrett Skeeler on the right-hand side. Takes it to the edge of the area. Plays it across. It's with Vitinha. On the edge of the area. Beats one into the bottom corner. And PSG now have the lead. They were just sat back allowing Newcastle United to press, and Barrett Skeeler on the right-hand side had the run of Lewis Hall, who'd moved into a more central role, and when he tried to control the ball, he just dispossessed himself so easily. He gave the ball to Vitinha, found Barrett Skeeler on the right-hand side. He drove forward with intention, with purpose down that right-hand side, took it to the edge of the area, and as he pulled it back for Vitinha, his effort from the edge of the area, he took his time, he was very composed. His first touch beat Ramsey on the outside of the area, and it opened up that gap down the bottom corner. It's the exact same corner that Dembele went for from the penalty spot, and that Nick Pope got down and saved. And it's a lovely finish right into the bottom corner, just out of the reach of the Newcastle goalkeeper. And we are now 8 minutes into the game. It's PSG 1, Newcastle United 0. And just when you thought Newcastle were starting to get themselves into this game and there was a glimmer of hope for them to be able to create something, PSG hit them on the counter-attack. And now it will be Voltemade that gets things underway, plays it back to Tonali. Tonali's ball down the right-hand side. Elanga's going to chase this down, flag stays down. Safanov gets the ball out to Mendes. He will take his time and play it across to Marquinhos. Now right to Hakimi. Down the right-hand side to Zaire-Emery. Loses out in possession. Now it's Tonali to Voldemade on the edge of the area. Can't get his shot away. Tackle comes in, but it's still falling back to Tonali. Out to Lewis Hall on the edge of the area. Chooses not to get his cross in first time. Dribbles it into the area. Takes it towards the touchline. Cross then comes in. And Safanov dives down in the 6-yard box and holds on to the ball well. He will not be in a rush to get the ball out from his hands now. Well, just to tell you how close things actually are in the Champions League so far, that goal from Vitinha doesn't just separate the two sides, it moves PSG up into 3rd place, it moves Newcastle down into 11th. So that's how much one goal can do. There's Kvaratskhelia on the edge of the area now with a couple of step-overs, tries to get his shot away, it deflects towards Dembele, but it's knocked away by Thiaw and behind for a corner. It'll be a corner on the left-hand side now for PSG. And everything that's coming down these wings at the moment is just all PSG. Miley nor Hall seem to be able to handle the attack from Barcola and Kvaratskhelia. And from the left-hand side we've got Paco and Marquinhos making their way into the area. Short corner taken. Still with Dembele on the edge of the area. Takes it past Elanga. Cross comes in, headed away from inside by Thiaw. Up towards the halfway line and brought down by Hakimi. Finds some space for Marquinhos by the touchline on the right-hand side. Chooses not to get his cross in. Goes back to Hakimi. And the centre-back starts to make their way back towards the halfway line as PSG start to regroup. Now it's with Mendes on the left-hand side. Pass inside now to Zaire-Emery. Cross to Barcola. Now for Dembele on the edge of the area. He's got no support in the box, so thinks better of the cross. Plays it back to Kvaratskhelia. And now Vitinha. Now Dembele. Still on the edge of the area. Into the area to Vitinha. Now Dembele. It's lovely football. Well saved again by Pope. Turned towards the edge of the area. Tonali now comes away with it for Newcastle United. Elanga's making the run. He plays it down that left-hand side, but it's a wonderful tackle by Marquinhos making up the ground. It's now going to be a Newcastle throw on that left-hand side. But again, PSG pushing forward with these wingers. And it's well held up. And if it wasn't for Nick Pope, PSG could already be out of sight in the early stages. Throw-in taken by Hall. Goes back to Byrne. Now to the edge of the area to Botman. Under pressure from Dembele. Gets the pass to Pope. Left-footed clearance forced first time. Up towards Willett. Headed away by Hakimi. Brought down by Neves. Plays it all the way back to Safanov just to steady the ship again for PSG. Now Safanov out to his left-hand side. It's forced Barcola to drop into his own half to retrieve the ball. He's brought Malik Fior with him. And now plays it back to his goalkeeper. And out it goes to Marquinhos. On the right-hand side of the edge of the area. And now Safanov up towards the halfway line. Dan Burn gets there first. He's under no pressure, but he has got Kvaratskhelia closing him down. Goes back to Nick Pope. Will take a touch to his right-hand side and get the ball out from under his feet on the edge of the area. Flicked on by Elanga towards Voldemade. Goes for the return ball, but it's intercepted by Mendes. Plays it back to Safanov, who again, first-time clearance, goes upfield. Brought down by Botman, by his chest though, and it's just given possession back to Barcola. Plays this to Dembele, now across to Vitinha, and again PSG are pushing forward. Out to Barcola on the edge of the area. Zaire-Emery's waited for the pass back, but instead Barcola's taken it into the area. Plays it to the edge. Shot comes up for Zaire-Emery, thinks better of it now to Kvaratskhelia, and it's just driven straight into the hands of Pope. But PSG were lining up to have a shot on target there. This Newcastle midfield just doesn't seem at the races at all. That's all too easy, not only to get past Tonali, but then to get past Ramsey as well. And then Kvaratskhelia just had a shot, and luckily for Newcastle, it's gone straight into the arms of Nick Pope. But anywhere else, you dare say that PSG are doubling their lead already. Out to the arms of Pope, it goes all the way through to Safanov. Safanov out to his right-hand side, flicked on by Kvaratskhelia. Botman will get there first, under no pressure, inside of his own half. Now passes it through the middle for Lewis Hall. And now Elanga. Out to the left-hand side for Willock. Elanga goes for the overlap of the return pass, but Willock plays it inside instead to Tonali. About 30 yards out at the moment. Cross one more, now out to Botman. No winger option available on that right-hand side, as Elanga seems to have either been given the freedom or chosen to take the freedom of moving over to the left in a bid to support Lewis or Joe Willock. This is played now back to Byrne. Byrne's pass inside for Tonali. Now to Hall. Elanga's still on the left-hand side. Hall plays it out to him. Willock's in the middle for support. He's found some space. Plays it to Willock just outside the area. Cross comes in towards the middle. Catches the keeper off his line. Pushed away. It's fallen in the end. Sent goalwards. And over by Lewis Miley, who was hoping to make up for his error in giving the penalty away earlier. The cross in the end from Willock just looked like it was dropping in at the back post. And it was pushed away by Safanov, who was taking no chances on the catch. But it fell to Lewis Miley, who on his left foot. 1, Newcastle United 0, 15 minutes into the game so far. Goal kick taken outright. It's flicked on and Hakimi's got plenty of space here. I'm not quite sure how this space has opened up for him. Takes it into the area, plays it across the middle, intercepted by Botman, out to Hall. Has to turn back towards his own area with the ball, but he's under pressure even still. Now to Dan Byrne. Up it goes to Voldemade, who's lost out on possession. Just a high press at the moment by PSG, forcing Newcastle into these errors. And now Vitinha, out to Barcola. Dembele's ahead of him. Out left he's got Zaire-Emery. Dembele instead lines up a shot, plays it out now to Zaire-Emery. On the edge of the area. Back to Dembele. Into the middle, it's turned behind away from Hakimi. And it's going to be another corner to PSG. Now out on the right-hand side. As Newcastle remain on the back foot. And up from the back comes Pacho and Marquinhos. An outswinging corner on its way from Barrett Skeeler. If he chooses to put the ball in the box this time, goes in towards the 6-yard box, headed away by Byrne. Langer tries to get that further away, up towards Voltemade. Ball out to the left-hand side for Willocks. Well read by Marquinhos, out to Hakimi. Now to Dembele, back to Hakimi. Now to Barrett Skeeler. By the touchline in front of the dugout. Into his own half now. To Zaire-Emery. Across the middle to Neves. PSG just slowed things down. Opening 15 minutes of the game. It's been 80% possession for the hosts, who have just controlled the majority of this game so far. And they've had plenty of chances to be leading by more than just a single goal. Vitinha's pass inside for Pacho, across to Marquinhos, outright to Hakimi. This pass goes inside to Barrett Skeeler, and then back to Hakimi. And then Barcola plays this all the way back to Marquinhos. And out to the left-hand side for Mendes. Mendes' clearance is blocked by Miley. It's fallen to Elanga. Elanga plays it back to Miley. And now to Malik Thior, inside of PSG's half currently. Has to go back to Botman. And now across to Byrne, and Newcastle inviting the pressure from PSG. Out to Lewis Hall, a very high line being played by Paris Saint-Germain. As Lewis Hall dribbles this through the middle and eventually loses out on the chance to Pacho. One back though by Tonali. Finds some space on the right-hand side for Elanga. Across comes Pacho well to retrieve the ball and plays this out to Mendes. This pass inside to Neves allows PSG to get back up into Newcastle's half. Out to Barrett Skeeler. Just slows things down and goes back to Hakimi. Inside to Marquinhos. And now Vitinha to Neves. And to his left hand side to Mendes. And then Vitinha. PSG just taking the time in possession now. There was quite an alert to it to begin with from PSG. They were just trying to push as much through as possible. See what they could get into that final third. And they've opted for a more patient approach. Back to Barrett Skeeler. And back to Marquinhos. And now Vitinha. Over the top for Barcola. He's going to have to chase this against Miley, and it's going to have a job to keep that in play, and he won't. It's going to be a throw in now to Newcastle, who was forced quite wide by the marking system that Newcastle have adapted to. we get to see Bruno Guimaraes on the bench for Newcastle. The good news for Newcastle fans, of course, Bruno Guimaraes has been out through injury. The good news is that Eddie Howe doesn't feel he's too far away from a return. Didn't feel that there was necessarily a return required in this game. There's Elanga on the right hand side, runs with this across the middle, goes in for a 50-50 challenge with Kvaratskhelia, and we're going to have a free kick now to Newcastle United. Anthony Elanga's received a yellow card. I'm not quite sure on the decision here. Elanga's gone in for the challenge there with Kvaratskhelia, and the PSG player's gone down holding on to his ankle. Now the referees originally pointed in the direction of Newcastle United winning this free kick, but with Anthony Elanga receiving the yellow card, I'm not quite sure if the referee simply pointed in the wrong direction. But we've got physios on now, just having a look over. And at Skillian, we might have to see an early change forced by PSG. I mean, we say that, of course, Newcastle have some difficult games coming up at the moment. They're 10th in the Premier League. PSG currently sit at the summit of Ligue 1. They've got Strasbourg away this weekend, so they might not want to risk too many players in the build-up to that game either. It just looks like, if anything, he might have rolled the ankle as he's gone into the challenge with Elanga. It's nothing as a result or as a direct impact of the challenge from Anthony Elanga. And originally, Elanga shown distress with the referee's decision to blow the whistle. When he found out it was a free kick to Newcastle, he's shown more distress at the decision. The referee didn't allow advantage to continue, but he's then received a yellow card for it. I think the referee's just reconfirmed to a couple of PSG players that it will be a free kick to Newcastle United in just a moment, as we might have to see this forced change on its way for the host. And it will be a shame, because at the moment he's been one of the brighter players for his side. While the early chance came from Barcola on the left, Kvaratskhelia has very much controlled everything down that right hand side. He's had Lewis Hall and Dan Burn really struggling. He's one of only a few players I can say I've ever really seen, even for 20 minutes of a game, give Dan Burn a good real aerial threat. But he's been assisted off the field by the physios. He's not able to walk on his own. He's got a physio to one side, he's got Hakimi to the other, arm round both of them, and he's limping himself off the field. So this first change of the evening will be for PSG, and it will be a forced change. Just looked like he might have rolled his ankle on the way through, but it's completely understandable that the decision is not to risk him any further. With the title chase coming up, and you've already got the 1-0 lead, and you're guaranteed knockout football in the Champions League at the end of this game, regardless of what happens. But it's hardly really a backward step with who they've brought on in place. So Desiree Doué is going to come on in place of Kvaratskhelia, and Newcastle will in fact have this free kick from just outside of the centre circle, inside of their own half. They've sent everybody forward towards the edge of PSG's area as Nick Pope comes up to take this free kick, drifts it over towards Voltemade, heads that on, brought down by Marquinhos, out to his left hand side for Dembele. Nick Pope has got himself back into his areas. Dembele drops this off for Barcola, makes his run further down the left hand side, gets the ball back, now to Vitinha, has Neves to his right for support, goes across to Hakimi, now to Neves, lays this off for Hakimi, out to Doué, back inside for Neves, across the middle it goes for Pacho, now Vitinha, and now Neves takes it into Newcastle's half, out to the right hand side towards Hakimi, through the middle now, finds some space here for Dembele on the edge of the area, he feels his trip, referee waves it away. Newcastle come away with the ball with Voltemade, turns on the ball, tries to get this out to Tonali, looks for support, he's closed down, and the angle's closed down by Zaire-Emery, but Tonali continues the run, and Zaire-Emery gets there ahead of him, and will come away with the ball for PSG. And he just timed the decision to put the extra pace into the chase to win the ball back, and timed it to perfection. So whilst Newcastle didn't have them outnumbered, had Tonali got the run-ons there, Emery, at that point, they may well have been looking at a very different situation as it's now with Hakimi on the right-hand side. Inside to Doué. Back to Pacho. Now to Mendes. Now to Barcola. And back to Mendes. Inside to Pacho. Now Safanov. Inside to Vitinha. Vitinha turns on the ball up towards the halfway line, out to his left to Neves. Neves dribbles this inside and gets away from Elanga. Still has more space to move forward with PSG as Newcastle just step off again. Out to Doué. Inside for Vitinha. And back to Neves. Now Dembele. Back to Marquinhos. Now Neves. Out to Barcola by the touchline. Pass inside to Dembele, just on the edge of the area. Tries to let it run across his body, but Malik Dior wins it back for Newcastle. He's surrounded by PSG players. There's three of him trying to stop him from being able to come away with the ball. And the clearance eventually from Dan Burn goes all the way through to Safanov. PSG just get possession back almost immediately after losing out on it as Hakimi plays this inside for Neves. In goes the boot of Dan Burn, wins it back now to Tonali. And now we'll have a free kick for PSG, saying that the boot of Dan Burn went too high. And that is an awful decision by the referee, if I'm to say so, because you see that happen all the time. He's not near the face, he's not near the head at all of Doué. The referee's just seen it as the boot's gone quite high, and I think it's only marginally higher than what Desiree Doué's placed his own boot as Barcola escapes down the left-hand side. Makes the run of Miley, takes it through the middle. Miley makes up ground and wins it back, but his clearance gives the ball back to Dembele on the edge of the area. Still a chance for PSG. Plays it back to Vitinha. Lines up a shot out to his right-hand side now to Hakimi. He's still on the edge of the area. Now to Doué. And now Neves. Out to Hakimi. And inside to Neves. Still on the edge of the area at the moment for PSG. Back to Vitinha and across to Pacho. Out to his left for Mendes. Inside of Newcastle's half. Switches this out to his right-hand side. Dan Burn heads it away. Lewis Hall will put it out into the stands for a throw-in. There'll be a throw-in now to PSG on the right-hand side. Taken by Ruben Neves. Throws us into Vitinha. And across it goes now to Pacho. Out to his left-hand side for Mendes. Now Emery for Barcola. On the edge of the area up against Dior. Dribbles this inside. The outstretched left leg of Dior will put the tackle in and win it back for Newcastle. Goes to Tonali, who's fouled as he moves away. And we'll have a free kick on the edge of the area now for Newcastle United. Just a shift there from Doué, who just nudges him in the side, and I think it's more the elbow into the hip that's caused Tonali to go down. Dior switches this out to his left-hand side for Hall. Brings this down under pressure from Hakimi. Dribbles it inside. Gets past Hakimi. Now out to Voltemade, but it's just behind him. And we'll have a throw-in now to PSG on the right-hand side. And Hakimi will take it from inside of his own half. He's got Eddie Howe alongside him. That's just where he's placed at the moment in the technical area. Throws this into the middle for Vitinha. Plays it back to Pacho. Now to Mendes. Now for Vitinha to turn on the ball. Up towards the halfway line. Now gives it to Doué. And now for Neves. Back into his own half for Pacho. Out to Marquinhos. And now Doué. To Hakimi. Now to Germain. On the edge of the area. Plays it across the middle. A chance for a shot here. Not taken on target. And it's gone all the way through into the arms of the goalkeeper. Just as it was beginning to line up there for Doué. Took a deflection off Botman and just rolled all the way through to Nick Pope. And of course there's absolutely no grumbles there from the Newcastle goalkeeper. Who will hold on to possession at least for now. Will look for an outlet and rolls it down to his feet. All the way now towards the halfway line. Now with Voltemade, he's tussling at the moment with Pacho. It's the PSG defender that gets the better of it. But Tonali's tackle sends the ball out to the left-hand side. Willett goes into the challenge with Hakimi, and the referee has given a free kick in PSG's favour. And it just seems like at the moment, anything Newcastle are doing, and that is as fair a challenge as you'll ever see. The two players have just gone in shoulder to shoulder, and Hakimi's just off balance. And the referee, of course, has decided that with him off balance and going down, it is going to be a free kick. It's just inside of the area for snapping up. Goals to 1, looking for the perfect record in the group stage. Liverpool lead by 2 goals to 0. Chelsea lead by 1 goal to 0. And Ryan Shirky's just made it to Manchester City leading by 2 goals to 0 as well. Means all those scorelines leaves Newcastle down in 11th place at the moment. As Emery comes away with the ball to the edge of the area on the left-hand side. Plays this inside to Mendes. Out to Barcola, now to Zaire-Emery. Up against Miley. Zaire-Emery tries to beat it for pace, and the right foot of Miley gets there first and puts it out of play. It'll be a throw into PSG on the left-hand side into the final 15 minutes of this half. Going taken to Vitinha. Out to Barcola. Inside now for Zaire-Emery. Out to Marquinhos. Forward to Hakimi. Hakimi to Doué. Back to Hakimi. Lewis Hall was about to close him down, but I think he might have received the instruction from Willett not to do so. Now with Dembele. Dembele's tripped and there'll be a free kick just inside of PSG's half. Voltemade, the one to have judged to have tripped him. Taken quickly by Hakimi across to Zaire-Emery. Into the middle now for Vitinha. Now to Marquinhos. So now Dembele. Just outside of the centre circle. Into the gap on the right hand side. Headed away by Lewis Hall. Dan Burn gets there. Inside to Tonali. Out towards Willock. And Tonali's had to get back to the ball after it's been blocked out. Now to Hall. Now Botman. Back to Hall, who's still under pressure. Now Tonali. There it goes away by Malik Dior, and a chance here for Jacob Ramsey to launch a counter-attack for Newcastle. This pass goes straight to Pacho, and it's now PSG in a good position. Plays it to Mendes. Mendes pushing forward. Newcastle players just stepping off of it. Gets to the edge of the area, sends it goalwards, but it's held by Nick Pope. And Newcastle again, just midfield-wise, just stepping away. Opening these chances up for PSG, and it is all too easy at the moment for the hosts. They're just controlling the game. Newcastle haven't really been at it at all. Now, I know there's been 5 changes made to this side, and some of those players that have been dropped are quite pivotal pieces. But to consider how easily they are being played off the park at the moment by PSG, how comfortable the hosts are in possession. Now Dembele out to his right hand side, finds plenty of space to Hakimi. Hakimi up towards the halfway line, takes it into the opposition half. Now to Doué. Hakimi with the overlap. Doué dribbles it inside. Now to Vitinha. Across to Neves. Now to Dembele. Out to his left hand side for Mendes. Plays this back to Pacho. And across to Marquinhos. And now Vitinha. Out to the right hand side with Hakimi. Now Vitinha again. Across the middle for Pacho. And out to Mendes. And now Marquinhos inside of his own half. Through the middle it goes to Neves. The space to turn on the ball is then closed down by Tonali, and he gets the pass off to Mendes first. He's up against Elanga. Elanga Wins it back, but it's gone out of play for a throw for PSG on the left-hand side. That's the first real moment that PSG have seen under too much pressure in possession. Maybe a bit of complacency is starting to settle as that's thrown all the way down the line, and Barcola will get there after the foot of Botman diverts it towards him, plays it back to Dembele. Cross now to Vitinha, and now Doué, now to Hakimi. Back inside, but Voltemade's retrieved the ball and he's intercepted it and comes away with the ball. Out to his left-hand side, it's just behind of Willock. Plays it back to Byrne, and now to Tonali. Now to Willock. Goes back to Dan Byrne. Brings this inside, and Byrne switches this out to the right-hand side. Brought down by Miley, under pressure there by Mendes. Now to Ramsey. Ramsey will go up towards the halfway line, turns back to his right-hand side, can't get the pass off. Now to Miley. Now to Tonali, inside of his own half, deep inside of Newcastle's half. Pass to Thiaw. Thiaw's pass is intercepted. Now to Dembele for Doué. Just as Newcastle start to get themselves up towards the halfway line, PSG are just winning it back, and now again it's won by Willock, and his pass goes back to Thiaw. And now to Miley. And out to Elanga. Now to Ramsey. Now Willock. Willock to the right-hand side towards Elanga, but João Neves gets there first. It's going to be a throw-in on the right-hand side for Newcastle United. And out to Dan Byrne. Byrne's ball forward, headed down by Voltemade, only to Neves. Out to Vitinha and back to Neves. His own half for Pacho. And now Vitinha. Now to Dembele. And now Hakimi by the touchline. Inside for Doué, now to Dembele, and now Vitinha goes all the way back to Pacho inside of the centre circle. Still inside of Newcastle's half as we enter into the final 10 minutes of regular time. Now Vitinha. Out to Doué. Back into his own half for Marquinhos. And across to Pacho. And now to Neves. Now Mendes. Through the middle for Dembele. First he plays this off for Zaire-Emery. Instead of pressing forward, PSG just take the time and get the ball back into their own half. Now it's with Mendes. Through the middle for some space here for Barcola. Barcola's made the run towards the touchline and goes to challenge from Miley. Wants a goal kick for it. It's a good challenge to catch up with Barcola. And we'll have another PSG corner out on the left-hand side. Up from the back comes Pacho and Marquinhos into the area. Played short again. Dembele gets it back. Now to Mendes. Wide on the left-hand side. Tackle's made there by Voltemade. And Elanga loses out, and it's still on the left-hand side. Ball across the middle, sent goalwards, but over in the end by Pacho, who was just waiting for the ball to fall to him. And I think it bounced just as he was preparing to hit it. It was Zaire-Emery that broke away with the ball and played it across the middle. It's a lovely ball with the outside of the boot. And he went all the way through. And how Pacho found himself with some space, with some time. Newcastle have a lot to answer for at the moment defensively. The midfield seems non-existent. The defence are practically not there. And the attack have hardly had a chance to see the ball. Goal kick taken by Pope, up towards Voltemade, and then away by Pacho. Back into PSG's half by Tonali, now for Willock. Tries to feed it through to Elanga, it's fallen to Voltemade. Out to his right hand side for Miley. Now back inside for Ramsey, Tonali, now Elanga. Elanga back for Willock, and then Tonali. Out to Byrne, now Elanga. Across the middle to Willock. Back to Tonali. And Elanga now. Tonali. And Byrne. One back by Doué, and then Tonali gets there just as Doué loses his footing. Has to go back into his own half and then has to bring Pope back into the game. His first time clearance gets the ball away into PSG's half, headed on by Dan Byrne. Ultimate brings it down over the top towards Elanga. Willock's there for support. Elanga's by the touchline. Tries to beat his man. It's come back off the boot of Elanga. And it's going to be a throw for PSG on the right hand side. And no protest from the Newcastle winger, but that's probably the best spell we've seen so far of the game of Newcastle with possession in the opposition half. Just on the left hand side, trying to work something out between Dan Byrne and Lewis Hall and Tonali and Elanga. But still, PSG are the ones that came away with the ball. Kimi throws it inside to Neves. Gets the ball back and his clearance goes out into the stands for a Newcastle throw-in, taken by Hall quickly now to Byrne. Byrne across the middle through the centre circle out to Miley. And now Elanga. Quite a heavy pass, but he controls the ball well. Takes us to the touchline. He's up against the Kimi. Tries to beat him down that left-hand side. Cross comes in towards the back post. It's over everybody. Miley's going to chase this down and stop it from going out for a throw-in. Plays it back to Ramsey. And now to Theo. And now Ramsey. Cross to Byrne. Byrne out left for Elanga. On the edge of the area. Falls alongside him. Makes the overlapping run, but he goes into an offside position. Elanga waits for him to get back onside, then plays the ball to him anyway. And now Byrne. Now Willock. Tonali. Ultimate. Nice football to Ramsey. Onto the right hand side, but it's just a few yards ahead of Miley. Manages to keep it in play, but then he's going to have a job to get there with Mendes. Wins his side of throw-in, and he's done really well on that right hand side there. As Mendes closes him down. About equal with the edge of the 6-yard box at the moment. Just throwing on the right hand side for Newcastle. And across comes Lewis Hall from the left hand side to take the throw. He's going to pick up a towel on his way and expect this to be a long throw into the area with the likes of Botman and Byrne both in and around the 6-yard box with Voltemade. Long throw in it comes. Flicked on by Byrne. Headed goalwards by Voltemade and away by Marquinhos. Newcastle wants a penalty for a handball of their own. Away by Tonali. Headed down by Zaire Emery. And back goes Tonali into the channel on the left hand side. And out to play.